So I wanted to talk a bit about the fear of self-inquiry or the fear of spiritual awakening, the fear of non-duality, because at some point along my journey, though, this was a massive obstacle. Every time I would sit down and do some self-inquiry, I would experience an intense amount of fear. And it's really likened to the fear of death, the fear as though I am dying, the fear as though everything will just be lost forever, the fear of just falling into the void. Sometimes I'll just be minding my own business and I'd be just walking, maybe on my way to university at the time, and looking around, I would sometimes physically feel like I'm about to fall into this endless void, like it's all gonna go. And it's almost like my body would just choke and I wouldn't commit into this sensation. And this sensation really arises because of the unknown. And this can then create this idea that you are here and then there is this destination, or you are here and then there's this door that you need to open and go through. And it feels like you don't want to open that door because everything will change. And it creates this illusory concept surrounding this feeling of falling. So I just carried on and minded my business, and at some point I just felt like I was avoiding and resisting this natural urge to just continue to do self-inquiry, almost like my sincere and honest desire to know the truth was slowly starting to fade away. And it was really the successful outcome of that fear. The fear is there to avoid danger, to avoid going ahead. Very much like if you are in a situation, a physically dangerous situation, and I always use the analogy of a lion or a tiger that is hungry, hasn't eaten for 2 weeks, and you are there. You are food on the plate for this tiger and lion. You will feel this intense amount of fear, and so you will try to get away as quickly as possible. And so it's really a fear of your life, almost. And it makes sense because what you're doing with self-inquiry is you are itching away or itching at the core beliefs, the core ideas that your life surrounds around. And that is the idea of the identity, the belief of being a separate self rather than just being. And so what I did at the time is I sat down with this fear. I sat down on the edge of that cliff that I was so scared of jumping over, which was all illusory anyway. But I realized that by reconciling with that fear, I sat down and I asked myself, what is this fear really trying to do? Why is it there? And upon asking these questions, I understood that the fear is trying to protect me. And there was just a sprinkle of appreciation towards the presence of that fear, towards the experience of the fear. And that sprinkle of appreciation eventually turned into gratitude, almost like love is being sent to the presence of this fear, which is very unconventional because very often we fall into the loop, which I fell into, the loop of fearing the sensation of fear, being scared of feeling scared. But once you come to terms with this and sit down and tell yourself, okay, there is that fear and it's okay for it being there, but looking around, there is no danger. Why is the fear present? And as you dive deeper, you may find a sprinkle of appreciation that it's okay for the fear to be here. And then this appreciation turns into gratitude. And then there is so much love, an abundant amount of love that is sent to fear and also to all the moments where fear is felt. And this unconventional approach kind of loosens the resistance, and so it's all just flowing. And so then looking down, sitting on the edge of this cliff, I realized it was never really a cliff. There is no cliff. There is no door that needs to be opened. All the doors are already opened. We're just not looking or willing to look in the direction of the door. It's like this chase and running after the horizon and eventually realizing that you are already on the horizon. And so I remember it's just like a cover or a curtain has been lifted finally. And I remember looking around and just bursting out in laughter. Just laughing at how ordinary everything is. How simple everything is. The flowers, the streets, the pavement, the lampposts, the people. I was laughing out loud in the middle of the street. I remember I was in the Netherlands walking back from work. And I would be laughing in the middle of the street, like literally just holding my stomach because it was hurting me because of how much I was laughing. And people walking by would look at me, would give me this funny look like, what's wrong with this guy? And me noticing this reaction and noticing the immediate expression or the thought that comes up subsequently along the lines of, now they think I'm crazy, or they probably think I'm going crazy because there's no one next to me telling me a joke. I'm not on the phone with someone telling me a joke. I'm all alone and just bursting out in laughter. And actually the judgment or the fear of being judged actually made it even funnier. and this was a beautiful insight. And so I really hope that you may allow yourself to sit with this fear if you are experiencing it and be okay with it. I promise you that the fear is okay for it to be there. And the moment you're okay with it, the fear subsides. What fuels it and what empowers the presence of this fear is the resistance of it. So I really hope that you find the courage to face your fears. It's a very typical thing, right? Everyone says this, face your fears. There's this quote I once read, can't remember by who, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. But once you're on that other side, you realize that there was never really another side, and it was always the same. It's the same with like even worldly goals. If you're trying to become this millionaire or billionaire, and you've been working so hard all this time, and there are fearful obstacles that you have to overcome to get to this goal of being this millionaire. And once you get there, or once you become this athlete, or once you've climbed Mount Everest, whatever that big goal is, once you've done it, it feels great for a moment, but then you realize actually it's all the same. It's like it never happened. And so I hope that this is some encouragement for you to spark in encouragement and be encouraged to face these fears. So thank you so much for watching. If there's anything you'd like to speak about, drop me a message, comment. I respond to all of them. I read all of them. This is Hassan from the Spiritual Walks, and we are all on a journey towards the truth.